my greatest source of pain would be my parents. I have not seen or spoken to my mother in 2 years, and I have no intention of ever having anything to do with her. And I've never forgotten what she said, because she told me, if you want to die, die. After all, I have other kids. I will bury you and I will move on with my life. That was when now the violence began on me. I remember that day I was beaten. I even peed on myself because I thought I'm going to die. Because it was not that beating for a cane. It was punches and kicks. And I called my dad, because I've memorized both their numbers. I called him and I told him, hey, this and this happened last night because I cried that you left. And me, I can't stay here. I'm coming to where you are. And he said he's at the farm in Naivasha. I'd never been to that farm. I think that's the only time I ever went. Hey, sasa hapo ndo nikaambiwa ukweli. The guy was like, if you don't go back home, she will arrest me. I'm like, why will she arrest you? See, you're my father. The guy's like, no, when you go home, go and ask her to show you a birth certificate and ask her who your father is. Because me, I've just been filling the gap for a man I don't know. I don't know who your father is. I met you when you're 4 months old, and I've done my part. I've given you a father. I don't care. Now I'm like, wait. Bertha Mong'ina. Bertha usually gets really botched by people. So most people just call me Shebs or Bertha, whichever is easiest for you. I don't have a preference. So if someone calls me Bertha, Shebs, Bertha, whichever, I would gladly answer you, because zote ni zangu and I embrace them with my full chest. So I think I'm trying to, actually right now I think I'm slowly coming into that soft girl era ya kujipea, si ya kupewa, but I'm an engineer by profession. I work on aircrafts, but currently I don't actively touch a spanner or an aircraft. I do quality assurance. So in layman's terms, that means when the government gives us regulations as aviators, it is my role to make sure the company is in compliance with those regulations. So I'm the go-between the authority and the company. So I spend my day in government offices. Yes. So me, that is what I do. Other than that, I travel a lot when I can. I have learned to date myself. I take myself on dates. So that is who I am. I am just in a season of living life. If I was to be very brutally honest with myself, I think my greatest source of pain would be my parents, because of the decisions that they have made in their lives and how it has impacted who I am as an adult. You know, you as a parent, when you're raising that child, you're making those decisions that you think are best, which is your right, because you are the guardian, you are the adult. This child doesn't know anything. But in as much as you're making those choices, do not cause your pain, your heartaches of whatever life is doing to you make you bleed all over your child, because now it becomes a generational trauma. Whatever your parents did to you, you now carry that pain, you pour it on your child. Then now me, I go and carry it and pour it on my child. But based on how things went and how things turned out, me, I can say right now, every time I think about having a child, I am scared of repeating the same cycle, because I want that cycle to end with me. That's why I'm intentionally working on me. There are things you catch yourself doing and you're like, in your mind, you're like, that's my mom, or that's my dad. And now you have to start unlearning that habit, because you don't want to carry it forward. So for me, I think the choices that they made took me to some really dark places, and I had so many struggles. And the more I struggled, the more I had to come up with coping mechanisms for my struggles. And you just see me acting out and you're thinking, it's just adolescence. she's just a teenager. Oh, it's just youth. But we didn't have those parents who would sit us down and ask you, so what's going on with you? How are you? And we were just conditioned to say, oh, I'm fine. Oh, I'm good. As long as you're going to school, you're bringing home results. As long as you are functioning, you can talk to people, you're okay. But in that, like, because for me, I would go to school. Actually, my mom used to say, I have two sides. And when we would go to church, we'd go to school, parents are telling their children, why can't you behave like Bertha? She's responsible. She's a good girl. But in the house, I am chaos. In the house, the answers I give my mother, I'm sure she would whoop me. And me, I'm like, okay, thank you. Because, okay, you've whooped me and then we move on. So we were always at loggerheads for years. And I think things just never went well. So I think for me, my biggest source of pain would be their choices, because it led me to depression. I think I even tried to commit suicide several times. And I felt like I had no one to talk to, because who do you talk to about the things that are going on with you? Because they'll just shut you up and tell you, this is life. So I think the more I watched people's stories, the more I was relating that this is also me. So there's no difference between this person coming to give their story and me who's just sitting there and watching this story. So I felt like, you know what? Maybe someone somewhere can learn something, can benefit from this story, but I will not be like most people who, we're conditioned to keep quiet, not say things. I want to break that cycle, especially because I come from a family who we don't talk about things. We don't iron things out. We just let it go because we are family. So even if you've done something to me that has really touched that nerve, because we are family, we are never supposed to talk about it. We're never supposed to address it. We are just supposed to move on. So me coming out to have these conversations, the first time I did it was because I wanted to prove a point in terms of I'm rebelling against this thing that you guys have set for me. And because I wanted, I kept telling myself that my motto I turned 30 last year. So I kept telling myself my motto for my 30s is I will walk with boldness. I will not fear. I will be me, regardless of whatever the situation, the people. I will just be me. So the more I was embracing this version of me, because now you have to walk the talk, not just say it. What are you doing about it? So the first thing I did, I got a tattoo on my hand and I wrote, walk with boldness, and I put an aircraft. I told myself, okay, every single time you feel nervous, because like we are human beings at the end of the day, and for many years I've always had a lot of anxiety. Back and I even got an anxiety ring. So like when you're feeling fidgety, you just spin it and relax. So now I told myself, other than all these things I'm doing to improve myself, what do I want to see? I want to be able to tell a younger Bertha, this is it. When people, there was a time, I think early 2000s, we used to have this fashion trend on Facebook where people were like, later to my younger self. And then you write all the lessons that you have learned. Don't do this, don't do that. So I think for me, that's where it began by, if I had to go back 10 years to when I turned 18 or something, even maybe let's say when I was a teenager, there are things that I would not have done. There are things that I will still do. But would I want to change any of that? The more I think about it, the more I say no, because I don't have regrets. These things are what have made me who I am. if I remove even one experience, would I be the version of me that I am now, who's able to see life the way I'm seeing life now? It will be a whole other human being. So you cannot dwell on regrets. You cannot dwell on, I wish I had. The past is gone, and the past is for lessons learned. The present is for you to make the changes you want to see later, because you've learned whatever you've learned from whatever it is you have done. So for now, I think I am in that phase where in my mind, I have a picture of who I want to be. You know, the version that you see in your mind and you're like, yes, that's the girl. So right now I have to work towards being that person, so that when I look in the mirror later, I'll be like, hey, I made it. Not, hey, what I wanted versus what I got. So, tuko hapo kwa safari. Me, I grew up in LD. LD is nice. I actually like it. I recently just came back from there. I went for the weekend. And the first couple of years were happy years. But of course, life is not without its challenges. And, you know, obviously, back then, there were a lot of missing pieces to the puzzle that as I grew up now, I found the missing pieces. But growing up, it was mostly me and my mom. It was just the two of us. I did have a dad growing up, but we'd say he was a temporary dad, because he would only show up on Friday and leave on Sunday. And the only question he'd ask you is, how was school? So for him, he had a farm in Kitale. So he'd come in Friday night. Saturday, when us, we are going to church, because we grew up Adventist. When we are going to church, he'll drop us off. He goes to the farm. Sunday, he'll also go to the farm, or he travels back to Nairobi. So you don't get as much time to interact with him as you would think. And for him, he would replace his presence with presents. Like, you complain, oh, Dad, I've not spent time with you. It takes you, that time it was Uchumi supermarkets. When Uchumi was Uchumi, millennials cannot relate. He takes you to Uchumi, he gives you a big trolley, and he's like, Jibambe. So the fact that he's paid that bill, he's like, I mean, I've done my daddy duties. So he was not the kind of person you would sit down with and really talk. But then also, so for me, I think I found it was a bit of an awkward relationship, because now there are certain things in the house that you know, signs that dad is coming. Kama ugali was only cooked on the weekends when dad is coming. The rest of the week, we eat what we want. Sometimes we'd even go out for dinner. So even now as an adult, we ugali once in a while, because ilikuwa chakula ya wazi. But anyway, I digress. So, yeah, you'd only show up on the weekends. And in as much as you'd only show up on the weekends, their dynamic was weird, because it will be violent sometimes. They would get physical. If anything, my neighbors knew me as the kid whose parents were always fighting. So even when we bumped into each other in college, the first question the guy asked me is, your parents still fight? Because now they would fight, and then I have to go to the neighbors, I wait it out. And, you know, sometimes I'd even lose the car keys in their fight, hapo kwa nyasi. Then the next day we can't use the car because they have to spend the day looking for the car keys, because now they've reconciled. Monday to Friday was actually fun, stable, peaceful. Because Monday to Friday, I would always take the bus to school. My mom was not a believer of she has to drop you in school, because she used to always say that she also, that time that between the time you've left for school and when she leaves for work, it's her time to prepare her mind for the day. So sometimes she'd be spontaneous, like lunchtime, she's near the neighborhood of your school, she decides to pass by and she's like, today you're not eating school lunch, let's go have lunch. Or she just decides to surprise you in school with snacks. Or today she decides, I'm picking you up from school, let's go home. So she was a spontaneous person. So she can surprise you at any time. And I always used to know that every day when she comes back from work, she'd have something for me. So I would always go to her handbag because I know she has something for me. She always has this role for Once you hit 10, we don't have house helps anymore. So it's just you and her. So between that time, she's already training you. Like she'll tell you, today we're making chapati, come, let's do it together. So that was her way of bonding. Let's cook together, let's do chores together, because in as much as she wants you to learn, it was just the two of us and we have to bond. Or she'll be like, today I don't feel like cooking, let's go have dinner. She'll find you at home, she's like, let's go have dinner. So Monday to Friday was fantastic. So I think the first thing that started coming up as a question for me in that timeline was, how come we only see Dad on weekends? Where does he go during the week? So she used to always say, oh, he's working in Nairobi, that's why you only see him on weekends. So I started pushing. I also want to visit him in Nairobi. Let me see where he's staying. Let me see where he's working. And then now I'm told, no, you can't go. And she used to say, no, you can't go. No, now I'm pushing. Why can't I go? Then now later on, when it came out, oh, there's another family in Nairobi, so you can't go. But me being me, I pushed until I actually ended up meeting them. and yeah, so we didn't, I wouldn't say we had the best of friendships, but my stepmom was an amazing lady. She still is an amazing lady. So when they took me to boarding school, my boarding school was in Nyeri. And then when I went to boarding school, my mom also decided to go back to school. I loved the school, but the first year I really struggled because I didn't have friends. The first year it was like, I was worried that here that I'm in school, what's happening at home? And I had short outbursts of anger. But I remember one of the biggest fights was about land. I remember I was class 3 about that time, and it's from what she explained, she bought some land, and when she went to see her land, he had sold the land. Yeah, and my dad had sold the land, and he had not told her he had sold the land. So she came home, and I'm seeing her boiling water. You know, back then we used to have those kettles, the cream ones that had the brown lion. Yes, so she's boiling water, and I'm asking her, "Hey, we have showered. Why are you boiling water?" And she's like, "Today I want to burn that guy." And I'm like, "Where? You're serious? You want to burn that guy?" So when he walked through the bedroom, I just shouted, "Dad, duck!" So he closed the door, and the water hit the door. Like, it didn't hit him; it hit the wooden door. So that's one of the incidents that I remember why they fought. The other incidents, I'll not be privy to why they're fighting. You just see drama and you're like, where? Like, I remember there was a day, my mom's sister, we went to church together. So when we came back home, we couldn't even enter the house because glasses were flying. Like, everything glass in that house, plates, mugs, glasses, like they're being thrown at the window. So everywhere was just glass. So we didn't even enter the house. We just left. So I didn't know everything that they were fighting about. And I remember back then she used to cry a lot. Like, she would just come. She would not cry in her bedroom. She would get in the toilet. She would cry. But now, I think the more she cried, the more she hardened. Because now, as I became a teenager, I can tell you from the time I was 13 till now, she rarely cries. Even if it's a funeral, you will not see a single tear being shed. But now, like, she keeps pets like a chicken. But now if something happens to her chicken, actually she'll cry. But the serious things, I think that's why I say she became hardened. That's there are things that will not move her. But now that hardening is what caused chaos between me and her. Because now, the more she would be frustrated by whatever it is they're having, the more she would take it out on me. Because, you know, there are things she would do when I was younger that they still haunt me till now. Because you see her crying or you see her sad and you come and ask her, hey, what's wrong? And you'll receive the slap, you know, that slap that rings in your head, and then you're told, you're the reason why my life is bad. Because if I had not had you, I wouldn't be going through all this. So the more you're being told that you're a mistake, you're a regret, the more you're asking yourself, am I the problem? So I know, like, maybe for her, because she always used to say, kids forget. So for her, I think that was her mentality for, she's just a child. She doesn't remember. But me, I remember. I remember because now it's stuck in my mind. Now, when I went to boarding school, I remember when I got to class 6, they're still fighting. I'm not in the house, but people are still fighting because she used to call me every week. I know sometimes she'll call me and she's not okay. And then now I'm the only one she has. So I feel like I had to be an adult very early in life because you forget you're the parents, you're the adults, but you're coming to ask me, you're a child, what should I do? So I started contributing to the decisions of the house from the time I was 13. Because now she'll come and tell me, oh, your dad did na. Me, I'm tired. What should I do? Before when I first went to that boarding school, he had a job, right? Then now it's like he got fired or something, and then he was given severance pay. And then he used to have a 405, a Pujo 405. So when he got the severance pay, he didn't invest it. He bought a Passat. And I'm supposed to go to school. So the biggest fight would always be her. She's like, I'm thinking of starting a business. And he would discourage her from investing. He's like, let's live life. Let's enjoy. Let's go to this and this place for the weekend. Or let's buy clothes from the boutique. So that was usually the biggest fight because for him, he wants a facade. Because I remember even back in the day, we were having the latest cars. We were wearing clothes from boutiques. If you're coming to Nairobi, we would take KQ. But long term, where are we going? Because by the time I'm now getting to high school, we are living like paupers because you people didn't think about what happens next. And now I think, now me as an adult, that's my biggest fear. Like, nisipojipanga, I do not want to go back to that zone. But I remember I advised my mom because she's complaining that, we are fighting. And now she's gone back to school. So I told her, most of the time it's me and you anyway. So I think we can do without this person. And we agreed that mutaachana, like me and you have agreed. We don't need this person. Let it go. By that time, he bought a piece of land to compensate for the one that he had sold. And she has begun building on that land. So that same year, we moved into that house. I remember we moved without it being completed. Like, just walls, plaster, roof, just move. Because, like I said, money was a problem. Because now, like, the landlord asks for rent, he gives a check. Kumbe, your check in a bounce. And then now the landlady and my mom end up having issues. Even that landlady, at some point, she banned me from going to her house to see her kids because her and my mom are having their issues. So money was the biggest problem, I would say. So now we moved into this house, and I thought, now that we are in our own compound, our own house, maybe we can actually hack this and things will be better. But now, so we've agreed mnaachana. When I'm in school, when I come for holiday, half term, when I came for half term, she came to pick me up from school. And then now we came to Nairobi, we stayed with my aunt. I remember it was like 3-4 days we stayed with my aunt. The first day tumefika, everything is good. The second day, that time my aunt had a nice service apartment hapo Halingama. Yeah, so it was nice. Then the third day, we're going to town and boom, he's here. And me, I'm looking at her like, situlisema. Situlikubaliana. Like, I couldn't understand why it was a cycle that was not ending. I couldn't get it because for me, I'm like, you asked me my advice. We agreed because me and you are a team, but here you are. So I'm feeling so betrayed, but now I don't feel like it's my place to voice anything. After all, I'm a child. But you see how confusing that is. You treat me as a child when it's convenient for you, but you want me to be an adult when you want advice from me. So where should I be? because now mentally my mind is cracking, because should I remain the child or should I remain the adult? So now they're back together, and me, I'm like, seriously? So when you go for holiday, I didn't see him. Now the next second term of that year, when I went for half term, no, it was not half term, when I closed school, like that August holiday, when I went to LD, he showed up, and you guys are back to your relationship. So that time, remember, it's just the three of us in that house, and he's still doing the weekend thing. But now, because he's lost his job, he's able to stay longer. Sometimes he comes for a week, sometimes a couple of days. And then now, because farming was his thing, he ended up even renting a farm in Vasha or something. So he's doing like large scale farming in addition to the farm that we have in Kitale. No, actually, the large scale farming came later, because like in 2007, when we had the post-election violence, our farm in Kitale was affected, because we had a big farm in Kitale, and it was December, tumevuna, and they burnt the maize in the granary. They took the cows. We had like 20 cows. They took everything. So he had to sell it off and start again. So I think that's when he came and rented a farm and started doing like large scale farming. But now, for me, I'm just there, like I'm just observing this too, because it's just the three of us in the house. So me, reading became my thing, my escape. Even now I read a lot of books. I'm an avid reader. So the good thing or the bad thing is, because I don't have siblings, I don't have someone to interact to. This house we moved into, hawajaimaliza, so there's no power. How do you entertain yourself? You're now in your own compound. You can't interact with people. So thankfully, my mom also used to read quite a bit. So we had a small library, like it was just a corner, like it was a room, yes, you can walk in, then turn wall to shelves all over the wall, but they're like just halfway. Yeah, and they're just halfway and then to the ceiling, and then they're full of books. So I started reading, because now I have to entertain myself, because I'm stuck in this house all day. So I started just reading, because I don't want to get involved in whatever is going on. And then Hash will go to work, he will go to the farm. You're by yourself in the compound. What are you gonna do? So I started reading. And now that holiday, when it ended, and we're opening school. And previously, I was used to, when we're opening school, I write my shopping list in terms of toiletries, what. I'm a girl. I need things to survive. And I submit my shopping list. And then my shopping is done like the day before I leave for school. And then they drop me at school. Usually we used to drive from LD to Nyeri. They drop me in school and then they go their way. So now I know I'm supposed to open school on Sunday. Saturday, hata sijafanyiwa shopping. I'm going to ask, wase, rada. And I'm being told, we don't have money for school fees. So you just chill, we'll let you know. So Sunday morning, I'm told, pack, you're going to school. I'm like, I don't even have toilet paper. I don't even have toothpaste. What's the plan? And I was told, let's just go. So my mom bought me one of everything, like 2 rolls of tissue, a small, like she just did bare minimum kind of shopping, and she told me, manage this, then I will I'll do your shopping and I'll send it through G4S. But for now, manage, go to school. Now, on the way, people are not talking to each other. I know you're in the backseat. Talk about awkward. These 2 people are not talking to each other. Him is looking out the window. I know he's driving. Hash is looking out the window. They're not talking to each other. And when they want to argue, they argue in Kikisi, because they know I can't understand. Until today, I have never bothered to learn the language, because I just look at it and I'm like, sitaki. Even now, I think even now, a week ago or so, I bumped into I went somewhere to some office, and this guy was like, oh, where's your village? Because now I have a Kisi name. So where's your village? And he's trying to talk to me in Kisi, and I'm just looking at him like, focus, eh? I didn't come here for all this. If you want someone who will be obsessed with you, try a kissy man. I've seen enough. But anyway, I digress. So these people are not talking to each other. And then we get to Nakuru, and you guys are not even buying lunch. So I'm like, I'm hungry. Can I at least get a snack? So I remember my mom gave me 100 bob, and she's like, that's the only money she has on her. So I went, I bought scripts, I remember, and then we continued our journey. And they're not talking to each other. So we get to school, and now the closer we're getting to school, it's becoming a shouting contest. And me, I'm just there like making myself as small as possible. And they're shouting. And I think back in the day, parents didn't know how to handle their differences. Okay, I don't even think it's back in the day. It's just an adult thing. Not everyone knows how to handle their business in private. Mna traumatize watoto wenu. So anyway, we get to school, and he grabs my bag, he throws it at a teacher, and is like, get out of my car. My arm was pulled, I was dragged out of the car, he closed the door. Then they started driving, but they didn't make it out of the gate because I was still standing there, shocked, I'm about to cry. And then I see my mom also being dragged out of the car with her handbag, and he drove off. So now we are crying, the two of us, in the parking lot. And I remember the director of the school gave her 2,000 bob as fare to come back home. And I felt so embarrassed because my classmates are watching and everyone is seeing this. And I'm thinking, this is a woman you're supposed to pay tuition, and she's the one saving you. Like, hey, yeah. So for me, I think that's the moment I was like, be done with this person, because muliniaibisha day school, mumeleta aibu tena boarding school. Like, how far is too far? Me, I was sure that after this, they are done. They are done. Because now the interaction after that was just less and less and less. Because the whole of class 7, it was like they're kind of still fighting. Then we get to class 8. They're like, you can see they're kind of cooperating, but they're not okay. Like, cooperating in terms of, oh, I have a parents' day. Either one will show up. Either he shows up or she shows up, or tutakutania mbele. Like, you could see that things are not rosy. Now there was a time I had an event in Nairobi. Like, we came with the school bus, and now because most of the students are from Nairobi, they're just picked by their parents. And me, I thought either of these people are coming to pick me up, but my stepmom is the one who showed up, and I ended up spending the weekend with her, and she took me for my events. I think that's why I started respecting this woman, because despite the drama, if anything, when it was just the two of us, she'd always tell me, you're my child. Don't ever feel less when you're in my house. My stepmom would always tell me, don't let anyone intimidate you. Even when her kids would try to bully me, she'll be like, you didn't give birth to her, you have no right. So I started respecting her, because I would see that she would never treat me different. You would never see that, even if there was a time her kids were going for a camp, and I was just supposed to pass by her house that day and go back home. And she was like, no, you're also going. I didn't have anything. She went, she bought for me everything, packed for me, and she sent me to the camp with her kids. Like, she would always make sure I don't feel different. And the more these people would have conflict, it's like she was trying to cover up, because it's like whenever this fire is here, she would keep me at her house longer, and then now she'll release me home. And no, she'll not tell you that things are happening. You would come home and you'll see evidence of things were happening. But I appreciate her, because she kind of tried to cover me from whatever drama was going on. So when I got to class 8, I'm sure, me where I am in school, I am sure this marriage is over, like over. And but funny enough, my mom comes for prayer day with a very big belly. At me, I'm wondering, what is happening? And she's asking me, do you want a brother or a sister? I'm like, neither. I don't want. And that threw me off, because for me, my opinion was, get rid of it. I don't want. I don't want to see anything. Because I'm thinking, already tuko na chaos. Where are we taking this one? Where are we? We don't have the room to add more innocent people to whatever drama we have going on. And then Pia, at the same time, I would always, like when the first time I went to visit my stepmom, her kids, I think they wanted to prove a point because they, back in the day, we used to have the cassettes. They played for me a cassette showing me their parents' wedding. Then they asked me, where's the one with your mother? So me, I'm there thinking, enyewe, me, I've never seen. So when I go home, I'm asking and I'm being shut down. And then that's when the missing pieces start coming out. Like, I'd be like, we go to my mom's village, right? This man is also Kisii. How come we've never gone to his village? Tunapitianga tu ile ya, hi. And we only pitied twice. I'd only been to that compound twice in my entire life. So I was always asking her, we go to your village like all the time. Si hata kwao ni Kisii, kwa nini hatuendangi to his village? And you never get a clear answer. So for me, I was just like, there's something weird going on with you two, and I don't know. Yeah, so now she's expecting, and me, I'm wondering, how are we surviving? And funny enough, they turned out to be twins. Okay. And that is where things went south. Because I think that's where my depression began. Yes, if I'm being honest, as the first time I remember being depressed, being stressed. Because now I was taken from a very nice private school, and then now I've gone to a public school for Form 1. And I was being monolized. Oh, when monolization was monolization. Hey. So for me, I was struggling in school just to survive. At the same time, there are new kids in the house. I remember even when I finished class 8, like that December holiday, I couldn't stand to see her in that condition because I could see her struggling. She's 42. She's expecting. We are constantly going to the hospital. It's like every 2 days she has to get an injection of some sort. Every week she's admitted. Like, for me, I was seeing how she's struggling with that pregnancy, and I was becoming resentful. So thankfully, my mom's sister offered, she was staying in Coast at that time, and she was like, come for the holiday. So I was like, escape. So I went and stayed for like 2 months because I couldn't just see her in that condition. Because for me, I'm like, I warned you about this. How did we get here? I think we actually had that conversation because I asked her, how did you get here? See, last we talked, we were like, we are done. So how did we get here? And she was like, no, he came visiting and it was raining. Nasingemwacha nje anyeshewe. Now see your life. This is where we are. So I think the fact that there were moments you're turned into the adult and then there are moments you're turned into the child. It was very confusing. But now, here we are. Now, funny enough, when I joined Form 1, 2 weeks after I joined Form 1, she had the kids. And now life became, I don't exist anymore. And it's all about the kids. Because for him, he was excited because now he has 2 sons. I'm just a girl. And for her, she was excited and I have kids. Because now, anytime I would ask them something, like I need something, they're like, it's not in our budget. The kids are priority. So everything became the kids. Because now even school, my visiting days, she can't travel because she has newborns. So he's the one who's supposed to come. And I remember her, Chicken used to have like a lunchbox. So he'll just come with that lunchbox and a newspaper. When I finish my food, he gives me the newspaper, he goes. So me, I'm wondering, okay, what am I supposed to do with the rest of my day? So that whole year, he was the one who would come to school to visit me. And I thank God that when it comes to education, that was his thing. So he would listen and, when he comes to sit with my teachers and he looks at your performance and he's like, why are you performing like this? And I'll be like, me, I'm struggling. And he'll be like, okay, when you come home, let's do tuition. So education was his thing. So he could see that I'm really struggling. I was not performing that well. And actually, I would say he's kind of also thoughtful, because that time when I'm in boarding school in Form 1, because he knows my mom is away and everything, sometimes I'll be called to the office. I'm like, you have a package. He's maybe brought me extra uniforms, because with a note that says, I know Form 1's uniforms get stolen. So he drops me extra uniforms. He drops me a laundry bag. So he would, I think he tried to kind of compensate, but he could see that I'm struggling. So now, that Form 1, I'm really struggling. And when I go home and I try to talk to my mom, she doesn't even have time for me. If anything, she's shouting at me, your brother is crying, why aren't you picking him up? And it took me 2 years to even relate with those kids. Because the baby would be on the couch crying, and me, I'm just sitting there looking at that child like, you ruined my life. So I was very resentful. The first 2 years, I was very resentful. I couldn't pick up the baby, that the baby is crying at you, oh, go change a diaper. I could not do any of that. I would just look at that kid and I'm like, shut up already. So, and now because I am not helping out, she's lashing out at me. So now we were having very bad dynamic. And when I went back to school in Form 3, now the depression has kicked in very well, because now I'm thinking, this lady doesn't love me anymore. I don't matter anymore. And I remember she used to tell me, she used to say that, you know what, you're too spoiled anyway. That's why you are, because you've been an only child, so itabidi umezoea. So now me, I'm like, why are you picking on me? In school, they're picking on me. I feel I'm supposed to come home and have peace and recharge, because I know what's waiting for me in school. But there was nowhere that was peaceful. So in third term of that year, I remember 2009, a teacher caught me trying to jump off a balcony, because I wrote a note to my mom and I sent it via poster. And I wrote a letter and I told her, since you have other kids, they seem to matter more and you've forgotten about me. So me, I think like I will just exit the chat. I leave you with your kids and your husband. So I posted it that day, and then I was climbing the balcony to jump, and the teacher caught me and was like, what are you doing? And I can't explain to you what am I doing, because even in between I'd gotten sick. And then I remember my dad came to pick me. He took me to the hospital, and he was like, he even gave me 3 days at home, and he's like, just rest. So when I went back to school, when I'm at home, when she was called, she was like, why are you being dramatic? You're not sick. Just go back to school. So for me, I felt misunderstood. So funny enough, we were supposed to go for half term like that week. So it was supposed to be like parents and teachers have like a meeting. No, the one you sit, you, your parents, the teacher, and then you go home. So when we sat there, the teacher told my dad, should talk to her. I don't think things are okay with her. How's the situation at home? And him is like, yes, it's fine. But now he was like, you should talk to her. So when he got in the car, he asked me, what do you want? I told him, I hate this place. I just can't do it anymore. So he was like, my other kids do IG anyway. Do you want to do IG? Even when he talked it for 4. Because now his thinking was, since you're struggling like this, why don't you go to day school? So you'd be closer to home, and maybe your perspective will change, and maybe your grades will improve. So that's what he did. He found, and of course, we knew she would not agree. So what he did, he waited for me to close school. Then when we came back home, me and him went and registered the school. He paid tuition for the first term. He bought me uniform. Then he came and told her, nimemtafutia shule anaenda huko. Okay, I'm grateful for that, because if there's one thing that I remember he did that was beneficial to me, it was that. Because other than that, if there's one thing also he taught me as a red flag is he used to overpromise and never fulfill. So even now as an adult, me, if you tell me you will do something and you don't do it, me and you tunakosana. Because for me already in my mind, I'm like, you not do to me, the other guy does. Kwanza, I used to remember that song for Wahoo. He's still a liar because he'll promise he'll do something, but he won't. You'll never get it. So that's the first time that he said he will do something and he actually came through. So yeah, that worked out well. But now I'm at home. It's me, the kids, the house help, my mom. I thought now things would be better. I thought now nimekuja mafuta. No. It didn't get better. It didn't get better. It got worse. Oh, it got worse. Okay, because now these two people are still fighting. The fights are physical. So there were times where I would have to grab the kids. We lock ourselves in the garage because our garage would only be locked from inside the garage. The outer side didn't have anything, but the inside of the garage, there was like a lock, you can lock it. And unless you go out the main door, like you're confined in there. And it was the only place that had a metal door. So these people are fighting. And I would have to grab the kids. We go sleep in the garage. Thank God at some point we had put a bed in there in case. No, we put a bed in there because my great-grandpa moved in with us at some point. He was very aged. And when we built the house, it was just me and her. So we had made it a 2-bedroom. So I gave up my room. And then we put a double-decker in the garage. Then me and the house girl would sleep in the garage. So that day when I took the twins to the garage, it's because these people are fighting. And she had locked herself in the bedroom. And he broke the door down. She had locked herself with the kids in the bedroom and he broke the door. Like he used a knife, na nyundo. Like he's using the nyundo to gonga the knife until the wood breaks. So me ended up taking the kids. I'm like, you guys solve your issues. So we slept in the garage. But now I'm not in a position to tell you that walk out of this. This is toxic because sinilikuon. And apparently I'm the child, so you do you. But the violence is not ending. It's just escalating and escalating and escalating. And the mzee, after that fight, he was like, me, I want to move out. I can't stay here. Because he was like, even me, I can be killed. So he was like, because he tried to interfere and they pushed him. And he was like, nah, I gotta go. And he left our house and he never came back. So... okay, I was happy because I got my room back, but yeah. So these people are fighting. Now we move on with our lives. But now I think Form 3 is when everything came to explode. Because she had kept saying she wants out of this union that they have. She wants out. And now me, I don't believe you because every single time we agree, we still go back. So, ile siku utaamua that you're ready, you will. So, one day she comes back home and she's like, I'm officially done. No more. And when he came back, this time, fun enough, it didn't become physical. Because now, after the twins were born, their fights were not about money. They were about she wants a breakup and he doesn't want. So now the dynamic has changed. She's saying no, he's saying yes. And me, I'm just looking at them and wondering, well, okay. So now she says she's done. So she packed all his things. And when he arrived, she gave him his bag. And she told him, anything you don't take, I will ban. And for sure, as soon as he drove out, she did a bonfire up in there. And I remember we used to have sacks of seeds for grass because he's into farming. So there were like 5 sacks and those ones were the first to go to the fire. And anything else that he forgot, at a toothbrush, at a pin, anything that will remind her that about him went to the fire. Now, my mistake that day was I just cried. Because I'm thinking, this guy is gone, my dad is gone, I'm never going to see him again, because it was sounding like this is the end. I'll never see him again. So I was just crying. And I remember because I was crying, she took out her frustration on me. And that was the, other than the few times I used to receive slaps for no reason, that was when now the violence began on me. Because she needed a punching bag. So I remember that day I was beaten. I even peed on myself because I thought I'm going to die. Because it was not that beating for a cane. It was punches and kicks. Now you're curled up on the floor trying to protect your head, but the blows are still coming and you don't understand. Why am I being beaten? It's not like someone is explaining to you, I'm beating you because you did A, B, C, D. It's just a way to release whatever frustration she has. And I remember I had a phone. And that phone, she's not the one who bought me that phone. I had a tutor who was a family friend. He used to tutor me physics, maths. So we had a deal with him. If I get the grades that we agreed, he'll buy me a phone, which he did. But that phone ended up being thrown in that bonfire. Because she's like, now you have a phone, now you're going to call him and say, I beat you. So she threw it in the bonfire. And it was in the middle of the week. So I didn't sleep that night because my whole body was full of marks. My whole body was aching. And 6 a.m., I have not slept, nimekesha. 6 a.m., I'm being told, go to school. And I'm wondering, how am I going to go to school? My face is swollen, my arms are swollen. And hey, that command, it was a command, it was not a request. Hata unajiuliza, hey, if I don't go, am I going to get round 2? So I went to school. But then something switched in me that day. Because when I'm going to school, I asked myself some deep questions. Like, all my life, I've never been the one being bullied. I am the bully. You can't bully me, I'll bully you. The only one who bullies me is my mother, but I don't let anyone bully me. So I was asking myself, am I going to let myself be bullied? Hey, no. Hey, my ego will not allow. No. So what I did, I started devising a plan. Because I'm thinking, if this is what happened yesterday, if I stay here, it will happen again. Am I willing to go through this beating a second time? No. So I went to school. It was at the beginning of the month. I remember there was a lady who used to serve us lunch and she'd pay her monthly. So she's just paid that lady. She's just paid for a school trip. And then I used all those scars on me to get the teachers to feel sorry for me and refund me that money. Because I'm like, I'm transferring from this school today. I know the more I'm crying and you guys can see evidence on me, hey, the human part of you. So they gave me the money. And I went to the secretary. She used to write us a note to exit the school. So I went to her and I told her, you see there I'm looking, I need to go to hospital. And she wrote me a note. And I packed my stuff. And I've told everyone I'm leaving. Exited the compound. I went home. I packed my things. I remember I bought a kabambe. Because by the time wamenifund yo pesa yote, I had about, let's say, 10,000. So I bought a kabambe, and then I bought a line, and I called my dad because I've memorized both their numbers. I called him and I told him, hey, this and this happened last night because I cried that you left, and me, I can't stay here. I'm coming to where you are. And he said he's at the farm in Naivasha. I'd never been to that farm. I think that's the only time I ever went. So I told him, okay, how do I get there? He told me, Panda North Lift, utashukia hapo Delamere. Like, fantastic. I went home, packed my stuff. So the house girl alerted the shamba boy that I'm leaving. So he tried to chase me down. So when I got to the matatu and he's trying to grab my bag, and me, I started shouting, oh, he's a thief, he's a thief. So now he had to run because they're coming for him. And now me, I got into my matatu, I left. So I have a new line. You can't find me. Now when I'm leaving, kumbe they've called my mom like, hey, Bertha came and took her things and she's disappeared. And now the phone call starts. Because she goes to school. I heard she went to school, she caused war. She almost beat up people. She's calling all my relatives. No one has seen me because the only phone call I made was to one person. So nobody else knew where I was. So I remember when I got to Delamere, I got there in the evening, around 6. He picked me up. He was waiting for me. He picked me up, went to the farm. So the next day, after I've calmed down and I've slept, I remember he even cooked for me, and after I've calmed down and I've slept, he now told me, Truth be told, we have to call your mother and tell her where you are, because she's calling people. She's called even relatives I rarely talk to. Their whole family is looking for me. So it's like, we don't want the police here. We have to tell her. So me, I was like, should I have to know? But I mean, I'm a child. What do I know? So he called her and he told her, yeah, I'm with him and I'm okay. And now they're fighting. I'm wondering, even a phone call, people are fighting. When will you, like, I think this whole time, I always used to ask myself, when will you people grow up? Because only kids fight. That was my analogy. Now, this is where reality check came in, and it came in real quick. Because now, he started trying to convince me, you have to go back home. And me, I can't understand. You're my father. Why do I have to go back home? I have come to you for you to protect me from whatever chaos you've unleashed. Why do I have to go back to that chaos? And he's insisting, no, you have to go back home. And me, I'm like, no, I'm not going anywhere. Hey, sasa hapo ndo nikaambiwa ukweli. The guy was like, if you don't go back home, she will arrest me. I'm like, why would she arrest you? So you're my father. The guy's like, no, when you go home, go and ask her to show you a birth certificate and ask her who your father is. Because me, I've just been filling the gap for a man I don't know. The only kids I care for from here on moving forward are my sons. I don't know who your father is. I met you when you're 4 months old, and I've done my part. I've given you a father. I don't care. Now I'm like, wait. I didn't even react because I'm not sure, should I cry? Should I laugh? What am I supposed to do? And after I finished telling me that, it's like you call my stepmom and talk to her. Because she called me. Like, she called me on my phone. Nikama, he gave her my number. So she called me. And then she gave me another reality check. Wait. You know, I used to think that, because, you know, he used to promise you big things. I'll take you here, I'll take you here. So I used to think he's able to give me that kind of life. And then I'm looking at his kids. They're going to Brook House. They're going to Aga Khan. They've been to Brayside. And I'm thinking, see, if this is the life your kids have, even me, I can have that life. And now she called me. And she's like, you want to follow a useless man? It is my company that I work for that pays tuition. He doesn't contribute anything towards their life. So if you follow him, you will also not have a future, because who is going to pay for your school fees? Who's going to take care of you? You're better off with your mother. No matter what she does to you, you're better off with your mother. I'm thinking, where? So after one day, I'm like, okay, I'll go back home, but I won't go back to her house because I'm still scared of her. Because now if you beat me for crying, this one that actually ran away, what's going to happen? Will I die? So I opted to go back to go stay with my grandfather. So he brought me back. He took me to my grandpa. I remember when I was just sitting there and they're just talking. And then, you know, like, this whole thing was turned, I'm the victim, but it was turned that I am the aggressor. Because now they're laughing and they're like, you're not children. She's just a child. She's just being foolish. And me, I'm thinking, how come none of you are addressing the reason that forced me to leave the home I grew up in? Nobody was talking about that. Everyone was just saying, I am just being a foolish child. All right. So I am back. Now, my grandpa decided, you're going back to school. The same school nilichoma because I niliosha kila mtu. So he was still working at that time, but he was in his 60s. So he would drop me to school every day, then pick me up in the evening. Me, I'm happy because previously in my mother's house natumia matatu. Hapa ninaletwa na gari. Anakujiwa na gari. Life is good. So me, I can't complain. So I stayed with him for about a month. Then he called me to the living room and he said, I'm too old to keep up with school runs. Pity my age. You'll have to go back home. Me, I'm like, I respect this mzee. Even now, I respect that mzee a lot. So I'm more likely to listen to him than to anyone. So hata mimi nikamwonea huruma, considering earlier that week in the morning when we're going to school, the car broke down, and then me and him had to jump on a boda. And I'm thinking, I've never seen my grandfather on a boda until that day. So I really felt sorry for him. So I understood. So being a Friday, he was like, I've talked to your mom. She's not gonna beat you or anything. Let's go home. So he dropped me at home. And me, I just took my things back to the garage because I'm not sure if I'm even supposed to use my room or not. Let me tell you, Maina, I don't know what those people did to me because I don't remember eating anything in that house, but I blacked out. You know that blackout that you can't hear nothing. I blacked out. I woke up in the morning. Oh, my great-grandfather was still around. Yeah, because now the next morning was part of the drama. I woke up in the morning. I remember I've slept in the garage, and then there's my bed, and then there's the car. And me, I've slept. I woke up in the morning at 8 a.m. and I went to bed at 7 a.m. So that's what I'm telling you. It's 7 p.m. So that's what I'm telling you. I'm not sure whatever they did, because you can't tell me it's normal for me to black out for 12 hours straight. I don't think that's normal. But I woke up in the morning. The garage door is wide open. There is no car. It's just me and that mzee in that house. And the shamba boy is in his SQ hapo nje. So I'm going to go and ask the shamba boy, Kwani, what's happening in this house? And he's like, these people left at midnight. Like my mom, the house help, the kids, they packed up the car, they drove out at midnight. And me, I'm left alone in this compound with this mzee. So that was my punishment for running away. I was left alone in the compound with the mzee. So I called my grandpa. I'm like, this is what has happened. So he instructed the shamba boy to take care of the mzee in terms of feeding and making sure he's showered. Because now, previously, he used to stay at my grandpa's, and then they didn't have a caregiver for him at that time. So he had come to stay with us for a time. Now, when I've called him, he's like, I'm coming to pick you up. It was on a Saturday morning. So he told me, pack your things. I went back to stay with my grandpa. And then now he's like, in light of this, now they started making arrangements to move my great-grandpa also to live with him, because he's like, this is an unstable environment. Even the mzee was complaining and he's like, I can't stay here anymore. So that's how I ended up going back to stay with my grandparents for a while. And even there, you couldn't say that it's peaceful, because my shosh is another I would say my grandma grew up in a regime that was very emotionally abusive, and she carried that forward. Because even now as an adult, sometimes when I tell her, you can't talk to me like that, and she'd be like, that's how we were raised, it didn't break us, you people are too weak. So that's when I came to understand that's the regime she grew up with. So now that I've come back and I'm having this identity crisis for who's my dad and everything, and my grandma will keep telling me, oh, you're spoiled, should pick on me or should lash out at me, and me, I'll just understand that akona stress zake and I would let it go. So me, I would just follow my grandpa everywhere to avoid the mess. So now I'm back to stay with grandparents for a bit, but now the depression is hitting me, and it's hitting me real hard, because who do I talk to about any of this? So after a while, I don't remember how long I stayed with him, but I still ended up going back home. So later is when we found out that she thought I would work with my stepdad, and I'll call him a stepdad because now he's not my bio dad. So now she thought I would work with him to come and kidnap the kids. That's why she ran away in the middle of the night. So so they dragged me so that I will not wake up. Apparently when I was sleeping, they sprayed something so that I will sleep completely. Yeah. So now I'm wondering, okay, now when I went back home, she'd keep taunting me those ones for, you remember when you acted out and you ran away? Like, she wants us to laugh about that I ran away, but we are not supposed to speak about whatever you did that made me run away. So for me, if she'd bring it up, I'll just ignore and walk away, because clearly you are not ready to have that conversation with me. So why are you bringing it up? But now when I came back, she opened up, she gave me my birth certificate, and sure, it was not his name that was on it, it was another guy's name. And she even gave me a photo of them together when they were courting. But she never told me what happened. She just said, we dated, I got pregnant, it didn't work out. So now after that, over the years, now you'll pick bits and bits of the story of what happened here and there. Like you'd hear something like, oh, back in the day there were, those couples in church that people admire in the youth. They're like, yeah, they were that couple, but things didn't work out. And later on, I came to realize the major reason things didn't work out is because of tribe, because he's Kalenjin, she's Kisii, and you guys are dating in 1994. This is after 92 clashes, and people are still not comfortable with dating across tribal lines. So her family did have an issue, but his family refused because they wanted someone of their tribe. So that's what broke the camel's back. But funny enough, when I turned 18, one day she just called me in town, and she's like, please come here. And I got there and I saw an old lady, and she was crying, and she's telling me, I'm sorry. And me, I'm wondering, hey, who's this lady? And apparently she was my grandma, and she was saying she's the one who caused them to break up, and now she was asking for my forgiveness. She was saying she had lived with so much guilt all these years. And me, I don't know you. I was not part of this story. Me, I was still in liquid form in someone's belly. So how do I hold a grudge against you for something that happened when I was not there? And it didn't happen to me, because for me, I look at it in terms of that is her story. In as much as it has a ripple effect to me, I don't hold anything against her, because hiyo ni mambo yenu. Me, I'm just living with the consequences of your choices. So it is what it is. But anyway, yeah, so now that's now when I've become even more depressed, because now these two people have separated, but the story is not over. Why? Because for him, he doesn't want to contribute anything towards these children, towards this household. I think he started contributing when they got to Form 1. But before that, it was always a fight for, tell your mother she's too old to meet someone new. She should just come back. So that was always his narrative. Take me back, we make it work, you're too old to find someone new. So he'd always be like, I'll not contribute until you take me back. So it was always a back and forth. And I think one of the things I don't advocate for, because I've seen it prominently displayed in my family, is because you two broke up, I am supposed to automatically stop talking to this person. Now, hapo, for me, my opinion was very simple. This guy might not be the guy who contributed towards my DNA, but for 16 years, this has been the father that I've known. So that relationship doesn't go away because mumekosana. It doesn't go away because he's not the one who gave me life. So for me, I wanted to stay neutral. Like, whatever fight you all have going on, that's your fight. But I stay neutral. I still talk to him. I still talk to her. But now, I paid heavily for her decision, because I'm living in her house. So she feels like I'm a traitor for talking to him. And even him, I think he's an asshole, because he would come and ask me, so how's your mom? Me, innocently, I'm just telling you, oh, today we did this, oh, today we did that. Everything I say will be used against her, because he'll call her to brag, oh, Bertha said da 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 da. He'll call my grandma to brag, oh, Bertha said da 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 da. He'll call my aunties, oh, Bertha said da 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 da. So now you're making this woman hate me, and yet I'm living in her house. And so the punishments began. all the punishments began. I remember the first punishment, because I've never forgotten, because that is when I had to learn how to be street smart. I'm in day school. She's paid for tuition. So she told me, see, last time I paid for lunch, and you went and took that lunch money and decided to run away with it. I'm not paying for lunch anymore. I remember when I'd come back from my grandpa's, I had braids. I had very long hair. And she told me, and you think you're beautiful because of that hair? I will shave it. And for sure. When I undid those braids, like the day I wanted to undo those braids, she was not even undoing. She just grabbed scissors. So she cut like a patch here, and me, I just told myself, it's okay. I cut the rest myself. I went to the barber myself. I accepted, fine. So that was the first punishment. The second punishment became no lunch money, no transport, but you're supposed to go to school. So now, necessity is the mother of all invention. You want me to go to school? Fantastic. I will go to school. So the first 2 weeks, I would time our neighbors who have cars. And because we leave in the morning around the same time, I just smile very sweetly. I get a lift to town. From town, I walk to school. In the evening, I'd either walk home or I smile with the makanga, I get a ride. So that became my life. So I lived like that for 2 weeks. Now, in these 2 weeks, there was an Indian who had a hardware. Like, I'd walk that route every morning going to school. So one morning, he stops me and he asks me. He was older than me, because that time I'm 16, 17. This guy is like 30. So he asked me, why are you always walking to school? When you don't take the school bus? And I just told him, my mom has not paid for the school bus. And even right now, she's not giving me transport. So sometimes I'm walking. Hey, that Indian, I think, I don't know how to say if it was God, ama maybe aliona, I'm beautiful, akaingia box yangu, I don't know. But from that morning, for a whole month, this guy would come to our estate hapo kwa barabara where the tarmac is. He'd pick me in the morning, he'd drop me in the evening for a whole month, every single day without fail. So now transport was no longer a problem for me. Sometimes he'd even buy me lunch and bring it to school. So now, at some point now, he was like, I like you, I think you're beautiful, but you're still too young. So I will not do anything with you. I will not even approach you. I will just be your friend right now. Because I think right now you need a friend. And for a whole month, yes, I had a friend. But now I can't tell anyone that, because who would understand that this is happening, this is the situation. So now, that whole time, I'm miserable. And then punishment number 3, because now I'm struggling in terms of, you're putting me on punishment, but you still want me to partake in the chores in the house. So I was rebelling, because I remember there was a time I was asked to wash clothes. I remember I washed the clothes, and then I was asked to iron them. And I remember I just snapped, and I'm like, I washed them and I still iron them for you. Can't I catch a break? And it caused a whole chaos. So punishment, the next punishment that came was, I was bought for my own laundry basket, my own buckets. I was given my own pots, my own dishes in the house. I was given my own shopping. I was told I'm no longer part of the family. I should do my own stuff. Wash my own clothes. The only place I'm supposed to access is the kitchen and my room. So wash my own clothes, clean my own room, cook my own meals. But I like that because I'm not responsible for someone else. You make a mess, you clean it yourself. I don't have to do it. So for me, that was a win-win. I enjoyed that life. But now the tension in the house is mounting because she'll walk in, I'll walk out. Like she walks into the living room, I walk out. And now I'm building resentment. So now, that's when I decided that, you know what, I can't live like this. Because nobody cares. If I call my stepdad, you just want to use whatever I say against me. Now she's beating me for talking to my grandpa. So now if I talk to him, there will be consequences. So who will I tell? So now and in school you're expected to perform. So now I remember I decided to just end it all. So I came from school one day, and every single medicine I could find in that house, whether it's a tablet, whether it's a syrup, whether it's expired, I just took them all. And I didn't wake up the next day. So around noon the next day, the house girl first activated charcoal into my system. And then now when I came around, she was like, you really tried to kill yourself. So when she came back in the evening and we're telling her, and she's been told, me, I was just in my room because I'm sad. Why didn't I die? Why am I still here? I don't want to be here. So she came to my room, and I've never forgotten what she said, because she told me, if you want to die, die. After all, I have other kids. I will bury you and I will move on with my life. That stayed with me for a hot minute, stayed with me. And I had to ask myself several questions. The first question I remember asking myself was, so if I die, you don't care. Okay. And the worst part is we look exactly alike. So now the more I'm hating you, the more I'm hating myself, because if I look in the mirror, I see you. So I'm struggling. Now that I'm struggling, hapo katikati, ndio I got my first boyfriend. So at least that distracted me enough from whatever chaos was going on at home. He was in boarding school, so he'd sneak a phone to school so we can talk every single day. Because now I'm like, that was something to look forward to. That was like a ray of sunshine in whatever darkness I had going on. But now she discovered that I have a boyfriend, and she didn't beat me. She didn't even bring it up as a conversation. But I remember she just said, I hope that boyfriend of yours is in the Alliance High School and not Quisero Boys. And me, I'm like, Quisero Boys imetokea wapi surely? Quisero Boys imetokea wapi? So, and then I actually, from that day, she started calling that guy Quisero. So every time she would see him passing, she would shout, Bertha, Quisero ndo huyu. So it became his nickname for a very long time. But anyway, that guy, that teenage love at least kept me going for a while. Because now I was too distracted to think about the mess that's happening in the house and everything. Now, things were not necessarily getting better. And now, because there's resentment building in me, I'm getting very angry. I'm getting outbursts. And then, because I grew up seeing violence, I also became violent. Like, I remember, other than that Quisero guy, he's the only guy who I could stand telling me I'm pretty. Every other boy in school who tried to say, you're pretty, I would whoop you. So now, teachers would always say, like they would call, when she comes to school, they'll always be like, do you know this, your child is violent? But she'll never believe I'm violent because she had never seen me be violent. So for her, she'll just be like, it's just one of those things. And even our house girls, I would beat them up, and some of them would be too scared to say that I beat them up because I'm a 16-year-old, you're older than me. How was I able to beat you up? Until one day, I remember she had traveled to Mombasa. And we were left in the house, me, the house girl, the kids. And this house girl was just getting on my nerves. The way she was doing things was just getting on my nerves. Like, she would eat, like us, we're all trained. Once we eat, we take our plates to the kitchen because they need to get washed. But this woman who's supposed to clean that house, she would eat and then she would put her plate under the sofa. So 2 days later, you're finding like several plates under the chair. And I'm thinking, what is happening in this house? Oh God. And then they should just eat everything. We cook for ourselves. We go out, we come back. She's cleared the pot. And now my temper is just rising. The kissy blood is just rising. And now I think, funny enough, what broke the camel's back was an avocado. I still remember. Because I was craving avocado. And I went and I bought and I put it there on the counter. And I said specifically, nobody should touch it. And this woman went and ate it. I remember even my brothers were like, you're messing with the wrong person. Because I lost it. I whooped that lady. And now my brothers that time, they're so young, they're like in kindergarten. So they're standing on the chairs and they're cheering, yes, 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 WWE. Then my mom walks in and she's like, so it's true, you beat people. And that time, I'm seeing red. So me, I don't have the time to address you. Let me finish with what I'm doing. So she's the one who had to pull me off that lady. And she told me, go and walk it off. So when I come back, that lady is saying, no, me, I'm packing my things. Me, I'm leaving. I'm like, so you go. Mom, pay her and let her go. So I think that's the first time she saw that I can be violent. That there's an issue. And I was told because I caused her to go, I'll now be the one to do her chores. That is what made me become part of the family again. Because before now, I was my own entity inside the house. So now because the house girl has been fired and I have to take up her role, now that's how I was part of the family again. So now the first thing was she took me to see a pastor because she's like, there must be something seriously wrong with me. And I remember we saw that pastor twice. The first time he came to the house and we spoke in the living room, like the three of us, my mom, me, and him. It was okay. The second time we went to his office and my mom was told step out because maybe she might not open up to me when you are there. And the minute my mom stepped out, hey, this guy is like, nawe ni mrembo. Why are you disturbing your mother? You just need a good man to take care of you. And I'm thinking, So I didn't tell her about it, but I told her, I'm never going back to see that pastor again. So if you want a solution, find another solution. So the solution became, I have too much aggression. I need to get it out. So I was signed up for every single sport the school had to offer. So every single day after school, I had one sport or the other. I'm grateful for it because now I can play every single sport. Because now during the day, I do badminton. And then I remember Tuesdays, I used to only have 2 classes. So I'd spend most of the day swimming. So now I would play badminton, swimming, hockey, basketball, football. And then she even signed me up for taekwondo. She's like, you need to work out to that anger. I only did taekwondo for like 6 months. And I'm like, I can't deal. Now this one that up to that point in high school, I'd only dated one guy. And now since we're both in school, it was mostly just we have a lot of conversations, a lot of phone calls. So for me, I felt like this must be what love is because I had not seen that love at home. And then now because at home I'm feeling a vacuum. Like I'm not loved, I'm not seen. So I started looking for that love in other things. So I'm overcompensating with other things. But at that time, it has still not come out clearly. But when I got to campus, I started seeing the side effects. At that point, we had to make an agreement. And the agreement was, when I'm 18, I move out. If it's to the hostel or something, but I get to leave the house. Because I even tried, because at that time she had fired even the Shamba boy, and I tried to move into the SQ. Because I don't want to stay in the same roof with you. Because now I am growing so resentful of you that there were days I would be like, please drop dead. Then I remember, if she drops dead, how am I surviving? So it was a constant conflict because I'm so tired of you, but I still need you. So it was a thin line to walk. But that's the deal that we made. But then there was another deal I made with myself. And I have honored it to this day. And people don't get it, and it's okay. And the deal I made with myself at that time when I was 16 was, the day I become financially independent of you, you're dead to me because I'm done. Because now, up to this point, I have come to realize that your money is being used as a weapon against me. If I want my tuition to be paid, if I want something to be paid for, I have to give up something. Oh, you're still talking to your dad? If you don't talk to him, I'll pay. So it was conditional. So every single thing, even school fees that you're supposed to pay, it was conditional. So it will be like I can remember one day I went to ask her, there was something in school, a levy of some kind I was supposed to pay. And I remember it was in the morning, I went to ask her because I mentioned it and she had not said anything. So I went to ask her, I mentioned this and this and this and you didn't say anything. And she told me, you're talking to my enemy, yet you live in my house, eating my food and still expect to use my money. So that's when it hit me. That's when it hit me and I stopped rebelling, because I realized if I want to survive in this life, I have to toe your line. I have to behave the way you want me to behave. I have to do what you want me to do. So I became the perfect daughter. I stopped rebelling. Like people would, even she thought we had a perfect relationship, because now I had to play the long game. Because people will be like, you guys have such a close relationship. I'll dress the way you want me to dress. You want us to go somewhere? Let's go. Because in my mind, I'm like, I have to play this game to get what I want. And what I want is a future. So I have to pretend. Even now, there was a time my siblings, the brothers, the ones approached me. Because right now they find themselves in a similar situation where they have, right now they're co-parenting, so they have to spend some time with dad and then they have to come home to mom, and they find themselves in that awkward, weird dynamic. Now at least them, they didn't get to see them fighting and all that, so they just see dad in his house with my stepmom and they just see mom in her house. So, but of course the arguments now are verbal. Like sometimes they can't agree on what day you come home, who's paying for what. So they end up having a whole verbal exchange on the phone and it's a shouting match and you guys are just there observing. So the ones came and asked me, how do you survive this situation? And me, I told them, so you know what you want? And you want a future, you want an education. So you sit up, you keep your head down, you get what you want and then you get out. But for me, I'm out of this system and I ain't going back. But when I was 16, I had decided the day I have my own money, I'm done. But now life is ironic, because that time when I got to 17, I started having health issues, because now hormonal imbalance runs in our family, because a lot of the women in our family have it. So now I'm constantly going to the doctor. The good thing is that time I was under her insurance, so the insurance would pay. But now because of whatever tension we have between me and her, there was a world of difference between even now how she treats my brothers versus how she treats me. Because I could have a crisis that day and I'm so weak, I can barely walk, and I'm coming to tell her, I'm not okay, and she'll be like, see, I paid for insurance. Do I look like a doctor? You know where the hospital is, find your way. But if my brother has a flu, he's put in the car and take it to the hospital. So now I'm trying not to hate them, because it's not their fault, but at the same time it's putting me in turmoil. So for me, I was just happy to just go to campus and get out. But now, that didn't necessarily mean that it became a smooth sail. Because this conflict between these two people, because now me, I hate you because of how you're treating me. I remember at some point, my stepdad paid me, was it 20,000? And I stole the birth certificates for the boys and I gave them to him. And she lost it. But for me, in my mind, I'm like, tit for tat is a fair game. Because you've been the aggressor, even me, I need my pound of flesh. Because now I'm thinking, I also need my pound of flesh. But now that I've gone to campus, and even her, she was glad to get me out of the house, because we were not getting along. It was just chaos awkward. But now since I had decided that I'll be the perfect daughter, I played my part and I played it well. So now she's happy because we are getting along. We are doing well. So, but you don't know what's going through my mind. But I'll give you a show because that's the show that you want. So even if we're in front of our relatives, we are looking like the perfect duo. But behind whatever is in my mind, I'm just like, ngoja tu. Ipo siku. Just wait. So I get to campus and now when I get to campus, there are only 3-4 incidences that for me stand out in terms of this conflict. And then now I started to see who I'm becoming because of whatever these things I have seen. The first thing that happened, I remember in my second year, like when we finished the first year, I got kicked out. I got kicked out of the house. Like I'd gone home for holiday. And then because of this dynamic these two people have, like I said, when I talk to him, he'll now start calling her and taunting her. Oh, Bertha said, and oh, Bertha said. So she got angry and she kicked me out of the house and she told me she didn't want to see me again. So good thing she paid for the hostel. So I went to the hostel. But now you've gone to the hostel and you don't have pocket money. So I remember I called her and I asked her for pocket money. I was told, figure it out. I'm like, all right, figure it out. Fantastic. Now, on the other hand, I remember one of my classmates, for a while, she used to split her pocket money with me because I need to eat, I need to survive. But I started feeling guilty because how long will I depend on her? I also have to come up with my own plan. So the first thing I started doing, I would show up at my grandpa's office and be like, Grandpa, I've not had Indian in a while. Like, I don't want to tell him directly, like, there's a problem. But now he'd buy me lunch and give me something. So the more I would show up, he started getting suspicious. You're here every week. What's happening? And I didn't want to tell him the truth because now we were, there's a law. I don't know how to say it, a law. Remember, like, back in the day, we used to do the loyalty pledge. So something similar. So she makes us take a piece of paper and you write, like, it's like you're making a vow. So you say, you write your name, na. I promise that I will never reveal the things that happen in this house. And I'll never talk to anyone about whatever happens. And I have promised on this day, Then you sign. So every single time you transgress, you're told, read this. Isn't this you? So in your mind now, you're like, no, I can't say. Because now it's become a law. Because now she's like, funny enough, I saw even my brothers wrote that thing and they stuck on their beds when they went to campus. But yes, so it was now a law because she's like, you are talking too much and you're telling people things. So even me sitting on this couch and finally letting it out, for me, that is that thing of, I won't be silenced anymore. And I know probably it's not gonna go down well with her or with whoever, but where I have reached in life, silence does not solve anything. And because we can't sit down and have a reasonable conversation, I'm just gonna give my story, and I hope a parent out there does better. And because for me, all these things, now this one that I've been kicked out, and I had to figure out how to survive. And, like, that's the time I learned that if a guy likes you, unaweza mfanya muosho, you take his money. Because I remember I convinced someone I want to do a business, go to Uganda and buy bags and clothes and come and sell. And because that Mubabas finds me very attractive, that guy gave me 50K to start my business. And then I went to Uganda, came back and bought a new line. So I had to become creative with how I survive, because now I'm thinking, if I do one clean deal and wash a 50K, your 50K can take me for 2 semesters if I budget very well. So that became my life, conning people. I'm not proud of it, but that became my life, conning people. Now, at that point, I've discovered that my looks can actually attract people. So now I'm like, I have to use what I have to get what I want. So the first thing became, I was a tomboy. I had to clean myself up to look attractive. So that became the first thing. Then now, of course, other than conning people, at some point I dated someone and I was just there for the money. Because I didn't like anything about this guy, but I knew, I'm on a girlfriend allowance. Why not? But now, because I feel empty, and there's some validation I'm looking for out there. Because now I knew for sure. I even admitted to myself I have daddy issues and mommy issues. So now for me, serial dating was my thing. We date with you once I get what I want from you. Like you approach me today. In my mind, I had already targeted, what do I want from you? What can I gain from you? The minute I get it, I dump you. Next person. So I was a serial dater. And now that I think about it, I'm like, okay, I didn't think that time I didn't see it that way. But I was just saying I'm young, I'm enjoying life. And alcohol became how would I say it? Because now I feel numb on the inside. So I would look for something that would make me feel something. So I became a party person. I would party from Wednesday to Sunday. I'm in the club. That became my lifestyle. Just partying. You'd rarely see me in school. I would just be everywhere. Random trip, I'm at coasts, or I've gone to where, because I'm just living my life. And then, so I was just enjoying life. But then now, I told myself, because I lived like that for like 2 semesters, and then I'm like, I have to go back home. Because what if she stops paying school fees? What if... Because now I'm thinking, I still need this person. So, what is a nice way to approach? I thought about church. So I just dressed up and showed up at our church and enjoyed the service. And then lunchtime, I'm just following her like, Mom, where are we going for lunch? And that's how I got back into the good books. Because after all, at the end of the day, still your daughter. So if you want to you can't throw away the baby with the bathwater. But that is how I got back in her good books, and life continued. But now, that whole campus time, there's still conflict between these two people. And because I was constantly on the receiving end, like if I talk to him, he will turn whatever I say against me and spread it around. So even some of my relatives are now mocking me or coming and asking me, why do you talk about your mother like this? So I decided to cut him off, because what use are you to my life if you're causing more harm than good? And if you piss her off and she refuses to pay my bills, you won't pay. So I had to pick, what do I want? So I cut him off, and I think from that time, that was around 2014, we've barely interacted till now. I think right now, even the last time we interacted was I went to his house to see my brother, and after that I just left, because I tried to keep him at arm's length. Although now that I'm an adult, he really tries to cozy up to me like, let's be buddies. And me, these days I don't have the patience to pretend, because I spent all my life pretending. So I remember I just told him, I don't even like you as a human being, so just stay in your lane. I stay in my lane. We are oil and water. Because in my mind, I've never forgotten when he told me that he only cares about his sons. So why should we pretend to like each other now, when in the thick of things You left me to sort myself out. So it's too late to apologize now. It is what it is. But now, in all this chaos, we survived somehow. But funny enough, there was a time that because now with my health challenges and everything, it reached a time meds were not working. So the doctor advised me to have a baby because every single medicine I was taking was not being effective, and I had tried everything. And that time I'd even gotten cysts and everything. So they had told me, just have a baby, it will probably help. And I couldn't have a baby as a single lady. Even now, I am not going to have a baby as a single lady. If it's not a package deal and does not come with the whole commitment thing, sorry, my eggs are not in the market. They're just going to remain where they are, in storage. So I met this guy. He was Nigerian, and Falamimi and my naivety, I told him about the health condition and everything. So initially when we were dating, it was okay. Then when I went to visit him in Nigeria, he made it, he now gave me a condition that he won't officially marry me until I get pregnant for him, because he said he cannot marry a lady he's not sure is fertile. And he used that health condition against me. He's like, you with your issues, are you sure you can even have babies? And for me, I'm like, no. So he switched out my meds with fertility pills because he intentionally wanted to get me pregnant. But funny thing, sometimes good luck. What coincidence. Because after he did it, like that morning that he did it, I was in the shower and I had him and his brother talking about it, and they were discussing in pidgin, and he was saying he was so proud of himself, when you're bragging about something that you're so sure would work. So when I overheard them, I decided, okay, I couldn't outrightly stop taking the medicine because it will make him suspicious. So I started flashing my daily dose. So you're saying the pills are reducing, but I am not taking anything. And then because I don't want to get intimate with you because I know you have an agenda, it now became my life mission. Before bed, I make sure we fight. So that when I sleep in the living room, you sleep in the bedroom. I'll make sure we fight. For anything, like just anything that will cause us to fight, I will bring it up, let's fight. So the good thing was also I was not with him in the house like every single day, because that time I was also learning tailoring. So the lady who was teaching me was across town. So I would stay with her Monday to Friday. Then I come to the house on the weekend. Because I was in Nigeria for 6 weeks, I come to the house for the weekend. So that weekend I make sure we fight. Then by the time it's Monday, we are not talking to each other. But the whole week when I'm there, we are being very nice to each other. When we come to the house, I make sure we fight because I have an agenda. I have an agenda to destroy your agenda. But anyway, so when I came back from Nigeria, I was sure I'm not getting married. And thankfully, I went, and then funny enough, that same year that the Nigerian thing has not worked out, I'm having these health issues. The degree I was doing, it was declared null and void. So I've spent 4 years. Right now, even till today, I have provisional transcripts, but I don't have the degree. I've spent 4 years and nothing. I was doing, Moi University had a program that was a Bachelor of Science in Aerospace Sciences. So it was a pilot option. Like you do the coursework that gives you like managerial skills, but you also fly. So now there was a whole scandal and the thing was scrapped. Hey, so now you're back at home. I am now officially the house girl, because now I don't have anything I'm doing with my life. Even if I take the papers anywhere, you spend most of the time explaining what the degree is than actually getting the opportunity, because it was fairly new and no one could understand what is this. So frankly, I think that degree was a waste of my time, but here we are. With a Nigerian, I think when I didn't tell him I'm breaking up with him, but already in my mind, I knew I'm done. So when I came back to Kenya, I just sent him a message like, I arrived, and then I just blocked him. Because for me, I saw whatever I saw when I went there, I was sure that's not the life that I want. Leave alone the meds, even the way that he would just treat me. It was, he would tell me women are here to be seen, not to be heard. And then he was telling me he wants a housewife. My job is just to stay in the house and give birth to kids. So I was like, that's not the life that I want for myself. So when I got back here and I told him I arrived, I just blocked him. That was it. That was how it ended. Till today, I see him trying to DM me on IG, and me, I don't know what your problem is. It's been several years. Move on. But that's how that ended. So now this one that I'm back, and my degree has also backfired. Like 2016 was a year and a half for me, because it felt like life is falling apart. So now I'm stuck. I'm at home. I'm the one doing everything. Until now, I think I started even attending the PTA meetings for my siblings, because my mom used to say I'm the assistant parent. Aki firstborns, God help you, firstborns. Hey, right now I'm retired and I refuse to pay black tax. I shall not. So I used to attend the PTA meetings and everything. And now I was feeling helpless, because I thought by now I'd be married. I thought by now I would have graduated. I thought by now I would have started life, but this is where we are. It took me a while, but eventually I decided to go back to school and do a whole other thing. But I still wanted to stay in aviation, so that's how I ended up doing engineering for another 4 years. And this time around, because I was sent to university far away, I now came into my own to understand me. Because this was the other time when I was here in uni, I didn't want those campus relationships, because in my mind it kept being drummed into me, you'll be a wife to someone on campus and he will still leave you and find the love of his life. And even that time that I was here in campus, people were constantly proposing to me, and me, I'm wondering, I am 19, 20, 21. Leave me alone, I'm still young. So for me, nothing against the people who got married when they were young, but I think for me, I wanted to take my time. And then at 22 is when I tried this whole Nigerian thing, and it didn't work out. So marriage was no longer on my mind. And now that I've gotten a chance to go out there and start life again, I looked at it as a chance to, actually not even a chance, I looked at it as a clean slate, where I'm starting afresh in a place where people don't know me. Number two, since I'm on my own, I'm away from the influence of family. This is a time for me to know what am I about. Because I really blossomed, I really grew. But in as much as I dated, deep down I was resentful about men and love. So for me, my idea about dating was very warped, because you'd approach me, and other than what I would gain out of being with you, the next thing that would come to my mind is you who's approaching me. I would never date someone that I'm attracted to, because I don't want to have feelings for you. I would date someone who's attracted to me, because if I decide to wake up and go, I can go. So that was my way of building a wall around me, because I would never, if I found you attractive, I would avoid you. But if I knew you find me attractive, but I don't find you attractive, now you're my type. Because I know I can treat you the way I want and I don't feel nothing. If I can be mean to you and I won't even feel sorry about it. Now, funny enough, in my relationships, I was always the aggressor. Because now, for me, I was like, before you hurt me, I'll hurt you. So I used to be I don't even know how people were surviving with me. But now that I look back and I'm like, I was reacting from a place of pain and heartache, and I didn't even understand who I am and what I'm doing. But funny enough, in 2019, I finally got to meet my dad. Yes, my real dad. Because that actually happened in a very weird way. I came home to renew my passport, and my mom tells me, oh, previously I'd been told he was abroad in the US. So she's like, oh, so and so is back in the country. I got his number. And I'm like, okay, give me his number. So you're the one who started this topic, but you're resistant to give me the number. So we had to have a bit of a squabble, but I got the number. So I called him and we had lunch. And I looked at him. I remember, I've never forgotten that conversation the first time we met, because I told him, I don't need anything from you. I don't even need a dad. You're too late to be a dad. So here you're just going to be my homie because you're too late to claim that authority of a dad. So even now, if you look at how we relate, most people find it weird, but our relationship is like a buddy kind of relationship, where I can call him and be like, so dad, I met this guy and we're going to talk about that guy. It doesn't have it's a very different, weird dynamic, because we had to find something that works for us, considering I got to know him when I'm 25. So I was already an adult who had already formed my own opinions. But when he came into my life, I was a very hurt person. He still reminds me that I wrote him an email. Like, I wrote him an email, and in that email, I was quoting all the low points in my life up to that moment. And I was asking him, where were you when this and this happened? And this happened. And now why do you think you can come into my life now? And he kept telling me that for him, he just wanted a relationship with his child. And for me, it was not making sense. Even now, despite the fact that we have a relationship, there's still moments of struggle in terms of he has other kids. And sometimes I see how he treats them, and I'm thinking, you walked away and denied me that. And sometimes it just causes me to flare up, and by then anakulanga block at least every couple of months. So yes, I think this year is the first year he's not been blocked. But of course, there are moments of silence here and there. I remember there was a time this year for like 3 months we didn't speak, because there are moments that I see those little things and they trigger something in me, and I just get angry and I'm like, it's not a must. I don't have to interact with you. Or maybe he mentioned something that just hits a nerve. Until these days, I've seen that every single time he wants to say something that he knows will trigger me, he starts with a disclaimer. Bertha, we are just talking. It's just a conversation. Because he was seeing that I'm being reactive. But the more we interacted, the more some wounds began to heal. So now I'm grateful for that connection. But now they're also, in as much as some were healing, some were coming up. Like, that's when you come to realize everybody else knew who my father was. All my relatives, even my mom's closest friends, you all knew who my father was, and you let me act a fool all these years. So that also built another form of resentment, because now I don't interact with my relatives as much. I used to be that person for, you have an event, I'm there. Oh, you live here and here, I'm coming for the weekend. I used to be that person who interacts with all my relatives. I want to know all of you. I want to know what's going on with you. Right now, I couldn't care less. You invite me for something, I'll tell you I'm free. Like right now, I don't even have it in me to pretend. Right now, as of 2025, we don't have a relationship. I have not seen or spoken to my mother in 2 years, and I have no intention of ever having anything to do with her. Because, like, for example, over the weekend, I went to LD I had an event. One of my friends was getting married, So I was like, LD is a good stop. I could spend the night easily, head down to her side, do the Rora show, come back. And Sunday, I decided, because the event was on Saturday, and I figured out where I'll go and sleep, because I know at any time if I call my father, I'll always have a roof under his house. I can always go. So my mother, I went to visit her parents. I didn't tell anyone I was coming because I didn't want to have to bump into her. And right now they're very aged. They can't travel. So I know she's the one who does a lot of their errands. So I just showed up unannounced, had lunch with them. I only stayed for 2 hours and I left. So our house is across the road from my grandfather's place, but I never went. I just saw my grandparents, went, picked my bag, got into my bus, and I came back. So for me, I was even prepared that if I see her, I will just take the other route and go. So we don't have a relationship, and I think over the years it's deteriorated. Even after I went to uni abroad, that time when I came to renew my passport, I didn't carry much clothes because I knew I left a whole wardrobe at home, and I come back and everything, any evidence, any trace of my existence had been erased from the house, from pictures to personal effects, everything. So when I asked her where did my stuff go, whatever she told me is what sealed the fate of where we are now. Because she told me I donated what I could donate, and whatever people wanted, I gave them, because you're never coming back to live in my house. So why should I keep your things in my house? So for me, that moment made me realize I don't have a home here and I have no business here. So when I went back to school, I started buying things knowing that I'm starting life. I remember the first time I went for therapy, I felt like I was exploding and I just needed someone to talk to. And I remember I spent the whole hour ranting about my relationship with my mother. And after I finished, I remember the first day she listened. The second day, she gave me an assignment. That assignment was hard because she told me, take a notebook and make 2 columns. Three columns. In the first column, write all the good things your mother has done for you. In the second column, write all the bad things she's done to you. In the third column, write all the bad things that has happened to her that would cause her to behave the way she's behaving. So the more I wrote, the more I just concluded a hurt person will just hurt someone else. So now I started working on me because I want to get rid of that hurt. I want to be a whole person so that I'm not bleeding on someone else. Like even if I decide to date again, I'm not bleeding on you. Now you're not the cause of my problems, but yet I'm making you pay for someone else's problems. So now for me, the reason why I decided to draw a line was not because I hate the woman or anything, but because I saw that we could not sit down and have a conversation and understand each other. Because now when I try to tell her this is toxic, usually what used to get thrown at me, you're not the first person to grow up without a father and you'll not be the last. But that doesn't make sense because I didn't grow up without a father. I had a father figure. So like we're not on the same page. I'm saying A, you're saying Z. So we are not communicating. It ends up into a defense match rather than a conversation. So I saw that the more I try, I'm just hurting me. And now the other thing was, you people are stuck in a cycle and I'm constantly getting dragged in that cycle. In that cycle, in terms of my mom and my stepdad are constantly fighting and bickering over the kids. And then because now you're an adult, you're dragged into the fight. And I was not there when the two of you met. So why am I being part of this fight? So for me, I decided to step away because I was drowning in depression. I'm stressed out. I'm not functioning properly. So I had to pick. It's either me or you. And I decided I will not sacrifice my sanity on the altar of your convenience. So I pick me. You've lived your life. Now it's time for me to live mine. So cutting the person off was not because I am holding a grudge against her, because life has happened. And the purpose of this is, right now, I know a lot of people are co-parenting with how life has become right now. A lot of people are co-parenting. And I want that parent who is watching this, do you want your child to grow up with the wounds of whatever it is you're doing now? Or do you want to raise a child who grows up saying, I want to be near you, I want to be like you? So the point is, pick who you want that child to be. Because it's like a clay, and you're the one who's going to make the pot that will come out of that clay. So pick your battles. But for me, the boundary became survival. Am I going to keep bleeding for what I didn't cause? Or am I going to choose to survive? So I chose to survive. I chose to chart my own path. And I remember one of my cousins asked me, hawogopi that there'll be backlash from the family, things would go south and everything. And me, I always tell her, you can't live in fear always. And then there comes a time in your life where you have to pick a stand and decide what you stand for, so that even they will know this is where she draws the line. She will not tolerate this. She will tolerate that. And for me right now, I think I've reached a point where I've embraced this is my new normal. And as far as I'm concerned, even my dad always tries to ask me, so you're going to cut her off forever? And I always tell him, she has other children. Let her aim to do better with the children she has left. Because me, as far as I'm concerned, I left the equation. My best lessons out of all this drama is, number one, the people under your care, you're supposed to, life happens, we all get that, but shield them from the drama as much as possible. Because now people will fight, people will argue, but whatever they witness, they don't forget. It will shape who they become. So for me, if I was to be a parent today, even if me and my husband fight, we will get in the car, we drive there, we go fight there, then we come back as friends. Because I don't want to, if we are bickering, let's bicker, but I do not want to cause our chaos to bleed all over our kids. Even if things don't work out, have a civil way of handling things. Because most people mirror what they saw growing up. That's what they mirror in their homes when they are creating homes. But now, some of us now, you've made us so scared, we're even asking ourselves, where? Kwa kina ndoa kukwaje? So that will be my first lesson. My second lesson would be communication. Communication. It's a skill that most of us as Africans don't have, but we need to learn. Because even when you're doling out punishment to your child, they will not learn until you actually sit them down and explain why whatever they did was wrong. Likewise, even with how we are growing and how we are dealing with each other, we need to be able to sit down and have those conversations. And I think the last one would be, silence doesn't solve anything. It just builds a wall and gives us a false facade that everything is okay, but the dam is gonna break one day. Healing is most people think that if you start going for therapy today, automatically you have healed. But it's not a destination, it's a journey that takes you, it's a process, because there are parts of you that maybe you can heal this year, but maybe there are things that will take you 10 years, 20 years to get out of your system, to let it go. So it all depends on whatever it is you've been through and how are you working it out. Because I think right now where life is, I think we're growing into a generation that's more intentional. Vis-a-vis, we grew up with parents who didn't believe in therapy. They're like, Black people don't go to therapy, that's a white people problem. But mental health is mental health. We all you need to take care of you. There are things that, we all have those scars that we carry based on the life we have lived. We all have those things that we look back on and we're like, that thing broke me, but you're still standing. So you have to, you might be healing from zile za kitambo, and then something happens to you today that you'll still have. So it's never like one and done. It's a continuous journey because life is still happening. So in as much as you're healing, life is still happening. Today, something can happen to me that now I'll have to recover from. Maybe nitachapwa character development and then I have to work it out. So anything is possible. So we need to change our mindset in terms of what is it? Like open your mind in order to embrace that this thing is dynamic and anything is possible. Because I'm sure even me right now, the way I am, the things I remember from when I was a child, when I was a teenager, when I was in my early 20s, and it still hurts. Not because you've not healed from it or you've not let it go, but because there's some pain that never really goes away. So you still have to work on it. You can't just say, okay, so I'm healed, so what's next? You're continuously working on yourself, because who I am 2025 is not who I was last year or 10 years ago. I'm constantly evolving depending on how life is going, the things you encounter. We have to change. When I sat on this couch, I was still not sure what I'm going to talk about. When I came in here, I knew I was going to talk about my struggle with depression and my suicide attempts. That was what I was going to talk about. But when I sat on this chair, I felt it is time and it is right for me to say what's been on my heart. Because there's someone somewhere who's either making the same mistakes that will lead their child down the wrong path. And also because I know me and my siblings might never sit down and have this conversation because we are conditioned to not talk about things. So we might never sit down and have this conversation. So I'm going to leave this here, and one day, because the internet never forgets, it's going to be there. And one day when they're good and ready, they might stumble upon it and get the answers that they've been trying to get from me now. But now I feel like now they're 16, they're in high school. I feel like it's not the right time to have that conversation. But you can see them having questions of what happened. So I'm just going to leave this here. And then also, there are several people who usually come at me for when they talk about their mothers and me, I don't say anything. And then when they ask me and I'm like, I don't talk to my mom. And they always come at me and I'm like, to each their own. So for me, this is, if someone can learn something from it, do better. And for my siblings to one day have the answers to their questions. For me, I am at a very nice place. I don't have any grudge against anyone. I just choose me. And I feel like the life I will create or the family I will create is more important than the family I came from. So I want to create a better family than the one that gave me life. And right now I interact selectively. There are those who I know are in my corner and they're in my corner always. and those are the ones that stay in my corner. And then also, I think because they've always been telling me that they admire my guts to come out and speak. And I've been really trying to sanitize my story and not really bring it all out. But today someone sent me a message and told me, you can't live in fear. And I told myself, when I sit in this couch, whatever comes out, that is it. And this is what has come out, and this is it. I stand by it.